After the events of the first film, Tommy just wants to head home. He spilled lots of Nazi blood, turning them into a bunch of paste. And now when he gets home, he'll rebuild with his trusty dog by his side. But a man named Igor lurks nearby and says, I'm going to lay him down. And it's Sisu, road to revenge. We've got more blood to spill. It's Sisu, road to revenge. Let's lay more Nazis to waste. Sisu, Road to Revenge is the sequel to Sisu. If you couldn't figure that out from the title, I don't know what to tell you. But yes, this is a continuation of the adventures of Aatami, not Daktari or Atari 5600. None of that stuff. No, this is continuing. Jorma Tomilas, I assume I got that right. I probably didn't. But he is somebody that lost his family in World War II due to things that will be talked about here a little bit later on. And he decided the best way to, well, honor their memory was to kill a bunch of Nazis. And let's be honest, the only good Nazi is a dead Nazi. It was true in the 30s, true in the 40s, it's true now. If you align with any of the Nazi ideals, you don't deserve to draw a breath. If you agree with any of the criminal activity going on currently in this land of politics, which basically aligns with a form of Nazism, I do not have any sympathy for all the shit that you deserve to hear, all the words that you deserve to have hurled at you, and all the fear that you hopefully will feel because the only good Nazi is a dead Nazi. So Sisu was a tremendous, I think that's how you say it, by the way. I think that's how, if not, I do apologize. But Sisu only manifests when basically something needs to be accomplished. When there's no other hope, we get this manifestation of heroism. Because again, you have to basically stomp out Nazis. And that's what you get here. If you like the first one, you will love this one. Is this as great as the first one? You could argue, your mileage may vary. I personally enjoyed this just about as much as the first one. Though it's really hard to capture all that magic, but that just had a bunch of goddamn creative kills. It was a breezy 85 or so minutes, and the trusty dog was there. An adorable dog, by the way. And Jorma returns, or Jorma, however you say it, returns as Aatami, and there is also a man lurking nearby that has ties to certain things that happened to him. Igor Dragunov, not to be confused with Ilya Dragunov. Igor Dragunov is not the current U.S. champion of WWE. Big surprise for any wrestling fans that just having to wander in here. It's played by Stephen Lang, pretty much a career villain. Really nice guy in interviews, just really has a face made for villainry, if that's even like a thing that could be said. And also Richard Blake is in this. You'll recognize him because he looks like a skeleton in this, just like he looks like a skeleton in Barbarian and other stuff. But Richard Blake is a terrific actor, a terrific character actor. Other than that, you just get people that are Nazis that are waiting there to be killed. That's pretty much it right there. They add a little more story and a little more emotion to this. And it is really nice just to see, you know, it's basically John Wick with Nazis. It's fun. It's just overall really, really fun. And it's just a blast. It's a blood-soaked blast, 85 or so minutes. And the audience I saw it with was very engaged. It was a Regal mystery movie. And it's a tremendous blast. So I'm going to get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. I don't really know why I want to get into spoilers because I just want to talk about a few scenes that I really like. But there isn't a lot to spoil in this because they pretty much tell you in the trailer what the deal is. But if you happen to have not seen the trailer and didn't actually know that there was a sequel to Sisu out, Igor killed Aatami's family. And yeah, that's why he wants revenge. That's why it's called Road to Revenge. And we get the chapter breaks just like always. Or like the first one, which was nice. And I just like the fact that they made it where he could take damage and he could feel it. And you could tell he was getting tired, but because he was driven. Not driven by fear, he was driven by anger. And you're all under attack and climbing up slowly, and he'll be the one and only. Oh, that's why the family's gone. Anybody that gets that, you are just aghast. Actually, you're probably not aghast that I would say that. But, yes, Aatami basically has a this after the first one where he had some money, he had he took it to a bank. He has his passport. He has a big old truck. He has his trusty dog by his side, and he decides to drive it all the way home to his family's home. He takes it down piece by piece. He basically takes the wood to make a new house, essentially. Rebuild it on some other land, and even has some stuff where it marks where his children, height and all that stuff was, but obviously his children are dead. And he loads this up on a goddamn truck himself. Don't ask me how, but I guess when you're driven by all kinds of rage and everything, you can just lift lots of wood, even if you are a much older man. But when you have that old man strength, nothing will stop you. And he drives along. Igor is then seen in Siberia, and he's all with a beard and everything, so he's been in jail for a bit. But hey, by the way, you killed this guy's family, and he killed 300 plus Nazis, so we really need you as a Red Army commander to take care of this. Okay, he's going to take care of it for a cash prize, which he does. And we do get, I'm not going to go blow by blow with every single kill here, but there are cool moments where he has the truck full of wood, and he ends up getting stopped at a checkpost. One guy then tries to get a Molotov cocktail. Another guy has his passport. It turns out Igor actually has it. More on that in a bit. And he opens the door. The guy gets caught on fire by his own Molotov cocktail. How did you not see that the door was going to do that? And there's a guy that just gets run over in hilarious fashion. We get a couple gags where the windshield wipers are going as Igor's just trying to see. And then his tire gets popped, so he's delayed. And we go on. There was a hilarious part where he actually sent a guy into the Jeep as well. Jeep window, great shit. We then get a little bit of a lull. He even takes time to repair the car a little bit and feed and water the dog. That shows how good of a pet owner he is. Even driven by all this, he has that dog and he will take care of that dog. The dog's fine, by the way, just in case you guys are worried. The dog's fine. And by the end of the movie, the dog's totally fine. So, Igor then gets some guys that are have armor plating and are on bikes and everything. Motorcycles. And even though they have armor plating, it looks like they're going to get Aatami. Nope, they don't. One ends up getting, hooked and has his head cut off. One gets just, run over by the Jeep. It's so hilarious. It's, again, so hilarious. There's planes, two planes. One ends up getting broken apart, trying to fly this way, and he just manages to clip it in the forest. And then he manages to actually get, he gets one where he stops short, a little bit of the wood falls off, and this other plane skates up and explodes when this pilot ejected, thinking that he was going to be able to dive bomb him with it. He didn't do that, and then he was going to kill that guy, but he loaded the wood back up because, god damn it, he will rebuild that house come hell or high water. Then the other plane ends up knocking him into the goddamn drink, so to speak. So yeah, all the wood ends up getting released. When he saves the dog, again, the dog's fine. He manages to release all the wood from this vehicle, and I guess it's light enough that it floats. Sure. Why not? And then he builds a raft out of that. We get Igor. Stephen Lang, by the way, terrific performance in this. Really, really good stuff. There's not a lot of character development. There's really not. If you like the first, you're going to like this one. You get a little more lore, but that's about it. I think this probably should be the last one they do because I don't really know what else you do with this. But having the sequel is just fun. He ends up rescuing the dog. He gets out of the water and everything and finds this old tank. And by the way, had built a raft out of the wood. Because of course he did. Because again, he will rebuild that house. And he ends up loading the wood on a tank. He ends up basically slingshotting himself with explosives and siphoning gas to fire himself through, like higher and higher, and flips over and stuff like that. But then he ends up, unfortunately, knocking himself loopy because he is human. He can take damage and he can take a lot of stuff, but he is human at the end of the day. And also, he's making a shiv. He's making a shiv, which, oh God, that scene. But anyway, he gets captured. He gets taken. He does manage to release the dog just before that. Dog runs off towards the Finnish border. I assume. I assume it's the Finnish border. He is captured by Igor. They're on a train. They're going to take him to Siberia. He says, they said I lit a fire under you. All right, I will put it out. And again, Steven, perfect villain here. And he's chained, there's like this bar thing, and he manages to free himself. And these two guards look in and they go, well, that's not good. Because he's down on the floor. They're like, well, he's not tied up. But then they do rock, paper, scissors. And remember that shiv? He digs the shiv out of his leg. He put the shiv in his leg. I don't know how, but whatever, it's fine. And then he manages to stab one of them, but he makes it look like he didn't, and then shows the guy and nods his head and everything, and then he releases him. Oh, he cut him in half. I'm sorry, he cut him in half. And then kills the other guy. And then we get something where basically Sisu is in his briefs or boxers or whatever the heck it is, and he doesn't have boots. He probably should have taken boots from the other guys, given what happened, but he had to walk through some train cars. They did this gag a couple times, and one probably would have been enough, where he's walking through, and, there's sleeping Nazis, the troubled Utes on all sides. One's hanging their arm off this side, one's hanging their arm off the other side. So he's got to duck around, do all this and everything. And then he manages to do that. Then one actually gets up to use the bathroom. And he manages to just get into the other room. He's got a pickaxe. He's got the shiv. And then he's going through there. One drops a bottle, and he walks over the glass. Again, instead of just picking up boots right there. But then again, maybe he didn't want to alert them. But for he is Aatami, he can just take out people, just left, right, and center. But he's driven. He's bleeding, but he's driven. Because he was whipped like crazy with like a hot poker whip almost. Hot Poker Whip also is a website that no decent person should Google. Also position, rather, that no decent person should Google. I'm just going to say it's like a reverse cowgirl with an attempt at a bridge. Moving on with that, he steps on some glass. He ends up rolling on some glass, and he manages to kill some of them. He puts the pickaxe there to block them, but then sees, oh shit, there's a bunch of awake ones over here, so let me get on top of here. He takes the clothes, by the way, finally from this one guy that he killed, and climbs up, and then ends up getting sent off when he hits some piping and everything, as you're going by on the train. And he ends up with a pipe, like a steam pipe thing, ends up falling through the roof with all those Nazi soldiers, and ends up doing one point so hilarious. One guy shoots, and it goes up and hits a guy in the head, because fuck you, physics. We will do what we want. And he just kills all them, he gets the two guns, starts doing that. It's great stuff. Igor, meanwhile, is on the train, and is talking to Richard Blake's character, and talking to the others, and then finally he realizes what the hell's going on, and he uncouples the car, and then he goes, because he's going to get what's coming to him, but he wants the money. Bitch, better have my money, don't you worry, say hey. And he ends up killing all the other Nazis, or other Red Army people. I mean, they're basically Nazis anyway. And he ends up, the creepy Kremlin, as it were, and he ends up shooting Richard Blake in the chest after getting his money. Cool. But then, Aatami is not done yet, because some of the troubled Hitler Utes get up, and they are basically, or the former Utes, get up, and they are just going and go. They get near this rocket missile thing that just happens to be there, and Aatami fires it up, fries them, and he speeds the train car all the way to, all the way back to Igor. And we have one final fight, which kind of gets a little bit hilarious. They fight, hit each other with objects. There's one point where he's trying to stab him near a sink, but he's got a spoon, so he gets a fork. But then he gets stabbed in the back with a fork. And it actually looks like Igor is going to win, because he's beating him in the head with a pipe, and he's just like, I expected more. But Igor's fucked. I mean, he is fucked as well. He's strong enough, but he's fucked. And Tommy is like, yeah, this kind of stuff, and he stumbles out, towards the missile, which is still going, by the way. And he says any famous last words, and he spits out the goddamn bolt, and then the other bolt is loosened, and the missile goes right to Igor and goes almost to his goddamn face. And Sisu stops the goddamn car while this is going on. Then the missile presses into Igor's face and blows up. And it's like a big old nuke type thing. So yeah, he's dead. And then Aatami, we get the final chapter, and I don't know how he got the wood there. I don't know how he got it. Whatever. I guess since he was close to the closest finished border, he was able to do that. But yeah, he got the wood, and suddenly he is rebuilding the house. Oh, and there's the dog. Yay, the dog's fine. And he's rebuilding and stuff like that. This is after, by the way, he stops the train car, hands his passport that Igor had, and the guys recognize him and are like, oh my God, it's him. It's the legend that killed so many. And then we get the final chapter where he's rebuilding the house, and some people show up that have, tools and everything, and he thinks, oh great God, okay, I want peace. I have avenged my family. Please let me have peace. And it turns out he will have peace because we thought you could use some help. And he's overcome with emotion because he didn't realize people wanted to help him, and the guy said, no need to say anything. I mean, it's in Finnish or Norwegian or whatever. It's in Finnish, I assume. But all the languages sound the same to me. I mean, I'm sorry. They just do. But there we are, and then we get a montage of him, celebrating with the people. They build a house and everything, and he's got the house that he always wanted. He just doesn't have the family. But he has his dog, and he got his revenge on the road. So it's a lot of fun. Sisu Road to Revenge is great and hilarious and violent, and Nazis die, which is all they deserve. So A+, absolutely an A+. First one's a smidge better. But I really like this one. I mean, you can't go wrong. Plus, you get to see Nazis die. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentland, and until we see Nazi blood spilled again, and hopefully it's soon, gotta get rid of them somehow. Happy trails to you.